Hey, friends, welcome in. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. I'm Johnny Venerable. He is Bo Brockbo. We are on the eve of the NFL schedule release tomorrow, mañana on Thursday. But for things first, our quarterback, Kyler Murray, playing leader on and off the field, and you absolutely love to see that.
Yeah, you do. Kyler Murray continues to do all the right things for this organization as it kind of goes through its facelift, right? As it hits its reset button, and he continues to just quietly do the things that he needs to do. And that's taking care of business as far as his rehab, acclimating with the new coaching staff and being, a good leader in the sense of he's doing what they're asking him to do and learning the new system and everything that goes along with that. And he's communicating at a high level with his new head coach, new offensive play caller, and Drew Petzing. And he continues to kind of endure himself to this community and in the community they grew up in. This is on the heels, less than 24 hours. It was at the end of our show yesterday that Kyler Murray just kind of quietly was making sure to take care of his hometown, his community that's hurting right now after a tragedy that happened over the weekend, a mass shooting. And he's helping out just one of the families impacted by that. And he wasn't doing it like tweeting out from his account, like, this is what I'm doing and this is what I'm donating. You just have to kind of do some just real easy look into it to see that Kyler Murray is doing everything he can to kind of help out those in need that are affected negatively by this horrible tragedy.
Yeah, it's a horrific situation. It breaks your heart. So Kyler donated $15,000 to William Cho. If you don't know who William Cho is, he's the 6-year-old that inexplicably, horrifically lost both of his parents and his sibling in the tragedy at Allen, Texas. And Kyler Murray, very adamant that day, along with everybody else. But Kyler, vocal on social media, which he's not known to do, that when is this going to stop? And so you see that and you think, well, Kyler blows you away in a lot of different areas, but he's very quiet with his personal life. And this is one of the first things he's come out and adamantly been, obviously opposed to and supporting these victims, these families, which shows tremendous leadership and growth. And again, you don't have to go out and donate to your favorite charity on social media to get credit, to get points. And to echo Bo's comments, that's not what Kyler Murray is doing here.
Right.
He's simply asking everybody else, let's take accountability. Let's help these people. And then, Bo, to your point, it's just like everything that we have heard in the inner circle from people we trust, people in the know, Kyler Murray's relationship with the organization has turned on a dime based on the hiring of Monty Ossenford and Jonathan Gannon. Now, it's no surprise to a lot of people. And we have this pretty well sourced, like Michael Bidwell had serious reservations on giving Kyler Murray that contract last fall. And so you think about the addendum clause, which came directly from the Cardinals. They can dance around it. Like, they opt to put it in, then they immediately took it out. That was a black eye for the organization. And it was we talked about it like a week later on this show. You commit to him, and we were waiting for you to commit to him, right? And then it felt like they were still in this kind of weird limbo period because they put this almost kind of like a divorce clause in there. And so things never felt smooth. It didn't feel smooth with Steve Keim, who continues to take indirect shots at Kyler Murray in the media. Cliff Kingsbury and he were not on good terms. They did not speak for much of the first half of the season. They had to use the quarterback's coach as a little bit of a buffer. Now it's like you have a general manager and a head coach, Monty Ossenford and Jonathan Gannon, that have just gotten rid of all that garbage and said, we know the kind of player you can be when you're healthy, and we're going to tailor our team, our structure around you, and we want you to lead us. And Kyler, by everything we've heard, Bo, is 100% bought in.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think we're going to get further and further and deeper into, the timeline and how Kyler Murray continues to show. And it's several examples. It's not just this most recent example of him being a leader, but, to your point, as far as the addendum, I mean, that absolutely was just one of the biggest missteps of the previous regime. And that also includes Michael Bidwell, the president and owner of the Arizona Cardinals. Mm-hmm. And I felt like the entire negotiation, I mean, you can say what you will about Kyler Murray and his representation, but the entire negotiation was poorly done by the Arizona Cardinals. We got some insight as far as how that went down, and it just didn't seem like they felt like they were in control and that they were negotiating this contract the way they wanted to. But at the end of the day, what did they do? I mean, it was just misstep after misstep. And the addendum, that falls, most of the criticism falls on the shoulders, unfortunately, of the quarterback and Kyler Murray, when it should fall solely on the shoulders of the organization that thought they were going to put their stamp on quarterback contracts. They thought that they were so smart, that they were too smart for the room, and they were going to revolutionize things by putting this addendum in there to cover their ass, because they didn't want to just do what organizations do and pay market price for franchise quarterbacks. And, they ended up, unfortunately, Kyler was the one that kind of had to take the heat for that, where the organization really didn't take too much of it. And then you kind of see how things transpire after that. Now the organization slowly but surely just falls apart, right? It just falls apart at the seams.
Well, the analogy I've used for some time, Bo, is like the Cardinals won the lottery, the quarterback lottery. And you read about people in like real life who win the lottery, win the Powerball, and they spend the money. They go and buy a bunch of cars and a bunch of homes they can't afford, and they don't pay their taxes. They've got like 6 PS5s, and they don't know how to invest, right? And that was the Cardinals. Is they have this commodity that they have never had before, a true franchise quarterback that's homegrown, that came to them as a rookie. And you can go one of two ways. You can go the conservative way that hopefully a lot of franchises take. You nurture him with quality veteran quarterbacks and coaching and a supportive general manager, invest in weapons, the offensive line, or you take the Cardinals way, which it's like Tommy Boy, my pretty new pet. I didn't know how to handle it. And it just kind of engulfed on itself. And I say that holding Kyler Murray responsible too, that he was enabled into bad habits under Cliff Kingsbury and Steve Keim unequivocally. But then, of course, he wants a new contract last offseason, and the Cardinals like, we don't know what to do with this. We've never had to do this before. We've never given out a contract that even looks like this, and we don't trust you. What they put that clause in there, they told everybody, including his teammates, we don't trust Kyler Murray. You can't do that. If you're going to commit to him, commit to him. And so this is like the perfect reset period with Ossenford and company, because Kyler's not going anywhere. You got Kyler under contract. They're not tanking. They're trying to win games. And now you have some really capable people in the room, Bo, that's like, okay, well, now we really can get the best, health permitting, out of Kyler Murray.
And from, sources we trust, like as far as the addendum and the fact that it was put in that contract, it didn't make Kyler Murray and his camp balk at signing a $230.5 million deal with all that guaranteed money. They're just like, okay, you've signed, you've basically put the deal out there. We're going to sign this deal. And then the rest of that, all the fallout, afterwards, that's going to be on you guys. So it really is interesting to see how that played out, and that Kyler Murray is basically the last man standing. I know Bidwill's still here, but he's the owner, right? I mean, you're never going to be able to get rid yourself of the owner, but it's really interesting to see, Kyler continues to lead the way, leading by example, despite these false narratives continuing. I mean, we saw one just as recently as this fool for the Action Network just throwing out blatant lies about a report that Kyler Murray was being shopped during the draft. Yeah. And just kind of because he probably figured like he's an easy guy to just throw his name out there, because the national narrative surrounding Kyler Murray, people would be like, well, of course Kyler Murray's on the move. But if you look closer, if you peel that onion back, you look at his contract, you look at the organization and how they've embraced their quarterback, that it doesn't add up.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to like, we're not that naive to just be like, oh, well, this guy's saying he's got trusted sources with the Atlanta Falcons. He was going to be dealt on draft day. It's like, no, that's not true. There's no truth to that at all. It's erroneous.
Yeah, and I can't emphasize enough how ridiculous it was, depending on how you felt about, like, we were at the Super Bowl week here in Phoenix. In Phoenix, the Super Bowl was here. I'm not sure if you guys knew that. And the entire week, all people wanted to do was bitch and complain about Kyler Murray like 6 weeks after he tore his ACL, or like 2 months or whatever it was. And it was like, how many people can complain about a guy who does not directly impact their life and their well-being, right? And taking shots at him when he can't defend himself publicly, narratively, because he's injured and he doesn't have a head coach and he doesn't have a GM. It was kind of egregious. It definitely was egregious. And we pushed back on a lot of it. And thankfully his teammates like James Conner and Rondell Moore came to his defense and back up. But there is a narrative. We've covered the narrative extensively. But then, like, we point something like this out, or somebody else points something like this out of what Kyler Murray has been doing and leading up to, being public with his animosity toward this horrific tragedy and wanting to support the victims. It's just like, nope, that's not what gets clicks, guys. That's not what we're going to push today. He's not a big boy. He likes video games, and that's unfortunate. And so really it's about educating people, which is great. But at the end of the day, people, unfairly or not, are going to judge him whether or not he can win games in the fall.
Yeah, and that's going to be important. Like as far as his return and his resurgence, that's going to be part of it, right? That's going to be a big part of it, if not the most important part of it. But like the false narrative surrounding K1 continues to be bad attitude, right? Not a hard worker, selfish, me first guy, bad teammate. He's short. He plays video games. All the like the nauseating stuff that you continue to see from people who aren't creative at all. You've got the exam. We mentioned the addendum. You've got when I put this out there, the video of him saying schematically we were effed, and it was insane to me to
great
see.
Quote, by the way.
Yeah, to see how it was picked up and how it was tweaked, and it was between "were" versus "we are."
Yeah,
and they said his direct quote was schematically we were kind of effed. And then several outlets misquoted it schematically, we are kind of effed, like saying we're effed. So
Dove was one of those guys that misquoted.
Yeah, absolutely. Bleacher Report that we've done work with, like I'm not going to deny that they were one of those that just picked it up and ran with it, like saying Kyler Murray was basically throwing his play caller under the bus, which was ridiculous. He was just basically saying that in that situation, schematically, the Chargers had them penned. And they made the play on a 4th down where he threw a pick to, I believe, Derwin James. And but then people wanted to tweak it their own way. And then like the Thursday Night Football where he's telling Cliff Kingsbury to calm the F down. Yeah. And it's just like, well, I mean, we're probably not going to see that any longer because his play caller is most likely going to be up in the booth, calling plays from him up there. And you're not going to see that sideline interaction any longer. Yeah. But, Cliff didn't think much of it. Kyler didn't think much of it. It was two competitors in the heat of battle going at each other. And then like you see an Aaron Rodgers or a Tom Brady do the same thing and he doesn't get nearly as much reaction on social media.
Yeah. There was a clip or a viral tweet that went out about Michael Bidwell saying that he was going to incorporate Kyler in the coaching search. Remember that one? And then everybody's like, Kyler's picking the next coach. Cardinals are and then remember even the Paris Johnson thing.
Yeah.
We're like 3 weeks removed from the draft. And Kyler's like, I really like Paris Johnson. And they released a video and it was great. Yeah. Paris likes Kyler Murray. And then they draft Paris Johnson. Kyler continues to call the
Sporting News. Yeah. What did they say? A luxury pick.
Yeah.
Because basically Kyler Murray called for it. Monty Ossenfort after drafting Paris Johnson was like, oh, he did? Yeah, I kind of heard that. But no,
a team that literally
Paris Johnson because K1 told him to draft him is absolutely ridiculous, and the false narratives just run wild with Kyler Murray. You guys are crushing in the chat. John Paul Edwards, Dio saying Cardinals were Texas before Kyler. Also saying Beacham gives up a lot of pressure. The Beacham thing too. Like if you get the full context of what Beacham said, he was being constructively critical of Kyler Murray.
You know what though? Yeah, it's not a look I love though. I don't
think he thought he was coming back either.
Right. And maybe we think he's going to be on the team. He's not making a ton of money, and they have a new tackle, a shiny new tackle. And I like Kelvin Beacham. He's been on this show. He's a friend of the program. If I'm not with PHNX tomorrow and I go on another show, I'm like, it's not in my best interest to speak ill will of Bo Brock or Emma or whomever. I keep that in house. I keep that with my family, and then I talk all my shit. But Kelvin Beacham's a really great guy, and he makes really great decisions, and he has immense respect. But that was not again, Kyler coming off an injury and the uncertainty and the toxicity with the franchise. It's like, why? What does that benefit anybody when you say something like that? And I bet he regrets saying it. I bet if you talk to him, he would be like, yeah, I felt that way. I shouldn't have put it out there for clicks. Cause again, it went through the course of the media cycle. And I don't know, man, Kyler is an easy target. He's going to remain an easy target, but weeks like this in the dead of the NFL offseason up until the schedule release tomorrow, it's important to point out things that he's doing to change that narrative of who the public correctly or incorrectly perceives him as. And I'm here for it because I think the best version of Kyler Murray is still yet to come, Bo.
Yeah, I agree with that. Vanessa saying she's nervously awaiting the schedule release. We are going to break down their entire schedule when it's released tomorrow. live here on PHNX Cardinals. But yeah, let's start to look at, the timeline, which I believe really kind of started on December 12th, Monday Night Football against the Patriots. It was a rough end, right? To just as the ground was kind of just collapsing beneath the entire organization. And you had Kyler on December 12th tear his ACL. He ends up having surgery 3 weeks later. He has ACL reconstruction. He has a meniscus stitch on January 3rd, done by the Dallas team doctors. Just a universally renowned surgeon does it. And then January 9th, a week later, you've got Block Monday, and Cliff Kingsbury and most of the Cardinals coaching staff is fired, and Steve Keim is unceremoniously has resigned. So that's the start of this timeline. And you're like, oof, that was a tough end.
Put that screen up real quick one more time, Emma. So January 8th, we were all throwing up in our toilet bowls in preparation for January 9th because we were still unsure of Cliff Kingsbury's status with the franchise. You remember the tweet that went out from Bob McManaman of Arizona Central? I'm not throwing Bob under the bus, but Bob tweeted out right after Cliff's presser that he was going to be made available to the media on Monday. People just lost their collective minds. Pour one out for that presser that never happened.
Come on. Now, if you go back and the footage will show that I did caution that it's probably just
you did. You did. But remember when people lost their mind? Not this show. Not this show, because we were doing our live post-game show with Frank Sanders and Damian Anderson. Everybody came out and were like, he's holding his presser tomorrow. It's happening. No. I had to point that out. January 8th, a day that will live in infamy. Cardinals got the 3rd overall pick, and we didn't know if Cliff and Keim were going to be fired. That was a dicey day.
It did kind of sully the moment a little bit as we were kind of spiking the football over the 3rd overall pick, and then it's like, there's a flag on the play. Cliff Kingsbury might stay. That was brutal. So that was like the dark end, right? It was a rough end. Let's take a look at some new beginnings on the men. Kyler Murray. After having surgery on January 3rd, just 6 weeks later, Johnny putting this out on his Twitter at Johnny Venerable. February 14th, it was a nice little Valentine's gift to your boys here in the PHNX Cardinals audience that he was working out on a bike, just going ham on an exercise bike, unlike you would think somebody who is just 6 weeks post-op should do.
There were people on the internet after Kyler's injury that said he would eat himself out of the league. He would not attack his rehab. He got paid. He would play video games all the time. Not just, mindless Twitter avatars, the egg avatar. Media people said that Kyler Murray's career is probably over. That was something that was being said routinely on the Twitter streets. And so, we all did a celebratory victory lap when Kyler Murray got after it, won 6 weeks post-surgery on Valentine's Day. And again, I'm of the mindset he's going to be back earlier than people think, Bo.
Then early March, you and I are in Indianapolis. We see Jonathan Gannon walking at a fast pace. We chase him down, have a conversation with him at the combine, and he tells us that Kyler needs to be 100% both healthy mentally and physically. That was the first time we kind of heard that. Basically saying they're going to be precautious with Kyler Murray. He's chomping at the bit. He's a guy that if he had his way, he would be back on the field as soon as possible. But the coaching staff, the training staff, most of the people in the building are trying to rein him in and make sure that this thing is done correctly. And then those sentiments have been echoed the entire offseason, saying he's attacking his rehab. Multiple prominent members of the organization, from Gannon to Monty Ossenfort to offensive coordinator Drew Petzing, everybody saying that Kyler Murray's attacking that rehab, so he continues to progress. And Johnny, you've maintained, you think that he's going to be somebody that's going to be ahead of schedule if you look at the normal timetable for somebody with this type of injury and recovery.
We talked to the Pro Football or the Twitter doctor at the Super Bowl week, and he said Kyler's going to be healthy to play from the pocket and ready to go in September. Now, to run around and be that Kyler Murray, it's going to take longer. I just think, and I don't have the source, but you start adding up these pieces, Bo. They're running a pro-style offense with a little bit of spread, run and gun, Philadelphia on 3rd down. But we've been
West
told,
Coast too.
We've been told 1st and 2nd down and 3rd down, depending on the down and distance, it's going to be Cleveland, San Francisco, right? Typically, those franchises up until recently, immobile quarterbacks, right? Running the football. And Kyler Murray can do that. I also think, again, Like, what are you doing with this quarterback room? I have a hard time believing if they thought Kyler Murray was going to miss the entire season, that they would not go out and try to get a placeholder. You would pay Jacoby Brissett or Gardner Minshew or somebody solid money. You got $20 million sitting around right now. You didn't use on that. Why pay somebody like that if you feel like Kyler Murray is ahead of schedule? So I think Kyler Murray is as motivated as ever to get back and prove people wrong. I think it'll be an indictment on the people that doubted him when he comes back early. And I know he knows that. So, I mean, we're not ready to go officially on record yet. We got to see him this spring and into the fall. But like, if he's not playing in October, I will be shocked.
Yeah,
be shocked.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Answering the doubters as far as the rehab and how he was going to approach it. We'll continue here with this timeline. New beginnings is, they hired Monty Ossenfort January 17th. There was conversation about Kyler and his introductory press conference, and then there's certainly conversations during Jonathan Gannon's February 15th introductory press conference where he said, not many times do you take over a team that have a franchise quarterback. We're going to maximize Kyler's skill set. And, on the 14th, the Cardinals social media crew did a good job in capturing a moment where, this was just fuel to the Cardinals fan base where JG and Kyler embrace, right? I mean, that was it. That's what we needed. And then it's continued it's continued that this entire offseason that the coaching staff is embracing Kyler and Kyler's embracing the coaching staff.
Yeah, absolutely. How about when he was at the presser with you and the rest of the media sitting front row, and they were simpatico, locking eyes to eyes, and you just knew it's just like, hey, this guy, like Jonathan Gannon, like he could very well survive here over the course of multiple quarterbacks, but he's got to show something to prove to everybody that they're worth investing in another quarterback, because right now Kyler Murray is your quarterback this year, and we've talked about it on this podcast for the better part of the last 2 weeks. It will take something catastrophic for them to get the first overall pick next year and to have an opportunity to draft Caleb Williams, which makes me believe, Bo, like you've got a 2-year test period with Kyler Murray and Jonathan Gannon. And if it fails horribly, Jonathan Gannon's not keeping his job. So this is authentic. This is not fake. Right. They talk all the time. He took this job in large part because of Kyler Murray. Ossenfort and Gannon said, these jobs don't open up when you have a franchise quarterback. And they also know, let's be real, the ineptitude of the prior regime, and said, well, good hell. This guy was the rookie of the year. He took him to the playoffs. Look at his touchdown to interception ratio and his rushing totals. Well, he did that despite, ineptitude, to be frank. More so from Steve Keim, but also Cliff Kingsbury and his adjustments as the season went on. Imagine what he can do with us, with a stable, functioning NFL environment with quality people like Dave Sears and Drew Petzing. I know that they are bullish on the fact that we don't have to win with smoke and mirrors. We've got a guy who can carry us, and that's what's going to happen.
And, this is probably the most inexplicable. The slide isn't, but what surrounds it as far as the Kyler Murray Heisman, the statue unveiling that went down in Norman, and the Cardinals' large contingent that traveled to Norman to hang out and support their franchise quarterback. It was JG, Monty Ossenfort. It was basically the entire offensive coaching staff, the Cardinals media relations staff. They were all there. And then people were asking why Kyler Murray would get a statue just like the rest of the Oklahoma Heisman Trophy winners. Like, it's a simple answer. You win a Heisman Trophy at Oklahoma, they give you a statue. That's just how it goes. You have one of the greatest seasons in college football, you get a statue. They're celebrating greatness that was achieved at their school.
They don't give those out like candy, and it's because Oklahoma's had like 3 Heisman Trophy winners, so everybody's like, oh, we're numb to it. It's a big fucking deal. It's you're an exemplary player in person, and you lead your team to new heights. You get a statue. I mean, there's a good chance they don't have another Heisman Trophy winner for 20 or 30 years, but they had the right coach and the right quarterback combination. Baker Mayfield, Lincoln Riley, and didn't Jalen Hurts win a Heisman there as well? So it just, to me, did he win that last?
I think he got the
ceremony.
I don't think.
So it's a big deal. That's why Reggie Bush wants his Heisman back. They don't just give those away. So, yeah, I mean, Kyler Murray may never get a statue outside State Farm Stadium, but like a Heisman Trophy at the collegiate level probably isn't what it used to be. But he took them to the playoff and almost beat Alabama, who won the Natty in the semifinal. This was not a token handout like our friends from Cincinnati 2 years ago. Like, no. They won the fraudulent Big 12 with the defenses that were on display, but then took their offense. Everybody nitpicked Kyler Murray, his size, and they said, no, this isn't going to translate against Bama. And they almost beat Nick Saban. And it's unbelievable.
Like a teach here. I went to Oklahoma while I was there. As soon as the season was over, we were talking about when will Kyler get his statue, because I'm sure that's a cool place to visit and kind of live throughout the years of Oklahoma football, which has an incredible, rich history of great football players. And, you can watch guys struggle at the pro level. And Kyler, you look at his season, it wasn't what anybody wanted for Kyler Murray, but like, ask why Kyler has one and then not turn around and be like, oh, Baker Mayfield, he's got a statue there. Like I know Baker Mayfield played a lot longer and played at Oklahoma longer than Kyler Murray, but still, just because he struggled for a season at the pro level doesn't mean that they're just going to say, you know what, maybe we won't give him a statue like we've given all the other Heisman Trophy winners.
You know what? He likes Call of Duty. We better pull back on the statue. Can we get a statue for somebody else? Can we get one of these other schlub quarterbacks? Can we get them a statue? Not Kyler Murray, though.
Right. Let's continue this. So Kyler Murray, he's throughout the offseason, you've seen him a couple times pop up. One of the big things was he wasn't enduring himself to the community here. And on April 13th, Kyler and his teammates attended the Coyotes regular season finale at Mullet Arena. According to our Leah Merrill of PHNX Coyotes and everybody else that was in the arena, that it was kind of a smattering of cheers versus boos, which I still think it's ridiculous that franchise quarterback is getting boos from the hometown. April 20th, he appeared. Nobody knew if he was going to be at the uniform unveiling, but he was there for the reveal, and he said, we're going to win a lot of games in these. And he was embracing the uniform change that he'd called for years before. And then most recently, he was sitting courtside, his feet on the wood at the Suns game, last win in that series so far for the Suns, him and Hollywood Brown, and then joking at the end of the game with Devin Booker, who went absolutely crazy in that. So, the narrative that he doesn't endure himself to this community, I think that's ridiculous too.
Yeah, and I hope Kyler Murray and Hollywood Brown are courtside for Game 6 because we need them desperately, because clearly that's a motivating factor. But, what more do you want? He's around me. I remember it was like a big deal 2 years ago. Kyler was doing workouts in Texas, and people were bitching about that. He was throwing the ball around with some guys there. But nobody talks about during the pandemic, he got a bunch of players together in Texas when they couldn't work out at the facility. People cherry pick what they want to cherry pick. I'm going to make a prediction right now. I think this is the last offseason Kyler Murray gets booed by Cardinal fans. I think that'll be done this fall, and he's going to let his play speak for itself, and the support he gets from the coaching staff long overdue. So he's here. He lives here. He's got a home here. His family's here. His best friend is here, and he's at the facility. And that we can't emphasize this enough. He's at the facility every day. He's with the trainers. He's with the coaching staff. And a lot of people could say, well, that's the bare minimum. You have to coach a lot of these habits. He came into the NFL and was taught one way how to do things from the wrong people. And so they are trying to rebuild that right now. And it's going exceptionally well. And everybody in that locker room is a supporter of K1. And so he's going to reward them, I think, with high level play.
When Jonathan Gannon was hired and it was just him in town, staying in a hotel room, his family wasn't here yet. And most of the coaching staff had the same thing. So all they did was stay at the facility. And JG tells that story. He was leaving late at night. And guess whose car is still in the parking lot working on his rehab? It's Kyler Murray. He's working at all hours to get back on track. Last piece of this, and it was the most recent, Kyler Murray reaching out, the day the tragedy happened, and sickening prayers to the mass shooting victims in Allen, Texas. Is there any way I can help affected by this tragedy? Please let me know. When's this shit going to stop? And then, he puts his money where his tweet was, and he donates, was what we've seen, up to $25K, and is doing anything within his power to help out those affected in his hometown by this horrendous tragedy.
And he has always been adamant on his support for the African-American community, the Asian community, which I think he is part Asian, takes immense pride in that, his affinity for both of those demographics. And this is just an extension of that. If you go find the photo of the family that lost three-fourths of their family. It's absolutely heartbreaking. And good on Kyler Murray for a number of different reasons. I can't wait to watch his maturation process as the Arizona Cardinal quarterback. I can't also wait to watch more NBA action with our friends at BetMGM Sportsbook. The lawn at State Farm Stadium had a banger time last Friday. We had a watch-along party yesterday as it relates to Game 5. It didn't work out the way we wanted to, but we're hoping to have one more watch-along party presented by Neutral at BetMGM, hopefully for Game 7. Got to win Game 6. If you're dabbling on Game 6 right now, I'm pretty sure the Suns are slight favorites. So if you want to take the Suns, you want to tease up the points, do it with our friends at BetMGM Sportsbooks. New customers click in the NBA playoff matchup of your choice. Signature bets tab. Each game has their own unique set of different bets that you can dabble on, but do so with BetMGM Sportsbook. Knockout Cornhole Fridays, by the way, Knockout Nights, Cornhole Fridays, every Friday, first Friday of the month, May through August. So May, June, July, August, first Friday, we're having our Cornhole League with our friends at BetMGM. There's going to be prizes, giveaways, drink specials, whatever you want. Had a banger first Friday in May. I'm going to be at the one in June. I cannot wait to see you there. If you haven't signed up yet, in the meantime, with BetMGM, use that promo code PHNX, that bonus code. There's a few different offers depending on where you live. But for our friends here in Arizona, you're going to get up to, get this, $100 in bonus bets on your first wager with BetMGM. Again, make sure you're using that bonus code PHNX. Check out the show notes for more details. And now listen to my guy Shane Diefenbach talk about it in the disclaimer.
Disclaimer, 21 plus to wager. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in Washington, D.C., Mississippi, Nevada, New York, and Ontario. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369, New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-522-4700, Kansas, Nevada. 1-800-327-5050, Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF, Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help, Michigan.
It's tough to beat a nice Friday night hanging out there on the great lawn at the BetMGM Sportsbook, throwing some bags, playing some cornhole, go inside, get that nice icy cold AC, and get a nice ice cold Four Peaks at the bar as well, where you've got some action on all the games that are on the screens there. You can also get Four Peaks at the brewery in Tempe, H Street in Tempe. Four Peaks, it's tough to beat. I mean, it's woven within the fabric of our great state. It's been around for 25 years. Kilt lifter, you can find it anywhere, like our friends over at Circle K. They've got it. You can find it in your grocery store, and you can find it on tap at most just watering holes around the area. But Four Peaks, it's important that you follow Four Peaks on social media, because they've got so many great things going on as far as beers they're releasing, stuff that they've been working on in the lab. Great food, whatever they're doing food wise, or these great events that are going on, like Four Peaks 4 seats. A lucky winner will get 4 Diamondbacks game. You get D-Bucks as well, so you can grab some food as well as some ice cold Wow or Hop Knot. You can go to Four Peaks Brew on Instagram. They got the link in the bio. Also, they've got Four Peaks Pub on Twitter. So you're going to want to follow both of those handles. On Instagram, it's Four Peaks Brew. They've always got great events going on in contests. And of course, Four Peaks Pub on Twitter. You got to be 21 or older to drink Four Peaks, but when you do it, drink it responsibly.
So we talked about Kyler Murray and who might start in place of Kyler Murray, assuming Kyler's not ready to go first week of the NFL season. Is it going to be Colt McCoy? Hopefully not. David Blau. We talked about our guy, Mr. Toon out of Houston, Clayton Toon. A lot of people don't think he's going to be ready. Or is it quarterback to be determined? And, you know, I only bring this up, Bo, because it's a hot button on Twitter. Ben Y. Arthur on Twitter, Ben Arthur, who works for Fox Sports, covers the AFC South, has basically come out and said, there's a good chance that the Titans could outright release Malik Willis after only one season. He was a third-round pick last year. A lot of people thought he'd be a first-rounder. He fell. But Ben mentions that Willis could be, quote, the odd man out. Ryan Tannehill's the starter. Will Levis is on the roster. Now, I don't think he's going to be cut. However, he certainly feels like a guy who could be movable. And speaking of moving, he has a similar skill set, albeit a poor man's skill set, to Kyler Murray and somebody like Jacoby Brissett. I think Vrabel and company, they do a good job. So if they're out on Malik Willis, I would be very skeptical. But the general manager of the Arizona Cardinals spent all last year with Malik Willis, likely scouted Malik Willis in depth before selecting him, helping to select him in the 3rd round of last year's draft. So would you be opposed to, at a minimal salary, he's a 3rd round pick, sending a late round pick, the Cardinals have plenty, to take a flyer on Malik Willis to add to the quarterback room that right now is a little bit underwhelming to begin 2023?
I'm with Agent 47. I don't want him. I don't think Malik Willis adds to the quarterback room. I think he kind of murkies it up a little bit. Yeah, if you're going to bet on a young quarterback, bet on the guy that you draft in the 5th round. And I still think, it's a little far-fetched to think that Clayton Tune could start this season. But I think that Malik Willis's previous relationship with Monty Ossenfort as the AGM there in Tennessee actually works against him. I think Monty Ossenfort was a big part of why they brought in a Josh Dobbs to play games down the stretch for the Titans in place of Malik Willis. Malik Willis didn't throw a touchdown in his rookie season. He has as many touchdown passes as you and I, and he's 1 season into his NFL career. I just don't. If the Titans are willing to just cut bait at like this early in his career, I think that that's a big enough red flag to where you say it's not just like, oh, we'll just take a flyer on him. I think that the Arizona Cardinals have to figure out, who is legitimately going to be the quarterbacks behind Kyler Murray. And I just don't think that Malik Willis has shown anything that we're like, hey, let's just take a flyer and see if it works out, because I'd rather them bet on, figuring out if it's Tune or one of the backup options potentially for this season in McCoy and David Blau.
The Cardinals played the Titans last year in the preseason. We got to see a little Malik Willis firsthand. I think he threw an interception.
He's just running. He just ran a lot.
He just ran a lot. He did. I'm not opposed to it. But you look at NFL Twitter, every fan base wants to trade for him because, his hype in the pre-draft process last year was, it was off the charts. At no point did I think Kenny Pickett would go ahead of him. I thought he had more momentum than somebody like Will Levis that got drafted a whole round and a half higher than Malik Willis did. Remember the combine video of him helping like an old woman across the street, and then he goes out and he has a really good performance, albeit in shorts and a t-shirt, and he ran his 40 time, and his tape at Liberty was electric. Like I don't think his career is done, and I would like to see him have another opportunity. And like, if I'm being frank, like that's the kind of quarterback I would like to see back up Kyler Murray, somebody with, let's say, elite attributes that can help you not just with your arm and can make games interesting. And I look at David Blau and Colt McCoy, and it's the opposite of interesting for me. It's just like those are placeholders that are waiting, in my opinion, to lose you games. Clayton Tune's an unknown. He moved a little bit at Houston. I'm anxious to see him in camp when camp opens up. He's going to be at rookie camp here in a hot minute. But I don't know. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I'm sure you could get Malik Willis for 30, 20 cents on the dollar. And again, he's not making
that's too much.
Money. That's too much, according to Bo Brock. It's like Doc said, give me some Sam Darnold.
6 feet.
Athletically, are we bitching about height? Are we bitching about height now?
Well, look, if you've got him, if he's going up against Clayton Tune's 6'3". That's my biggest issue. And then Clayton Tune, obviously, he's not coming out of a big Power 5 conference, but he was way more productive than a Malik Willis. I just think, in slightly less athletic, but Clayton Tune's athletic in his own right. Like, I think if you're saying, hey, Malik Willis is going to give you some upside, I don't think that's necessarily true. He was a distant second to Anthony Richardson as far as the second most athletic quarterback at the combine. Malik Willis was first in his class last year, but it was a down class as well. I just think that you probably just bet on the guy that you've already selected, get him in here, get him up to speed, see what you've got as far as Tune, because I think Malik Willis, despite having a year under his belt, isn't that much further ahead, if he's at all ahead of a Tune at this point.
Yeah, that's fine. Again, it's not my preference. My preference would have been take a player like Tune, keep Kyler Murray, obviously, and then sign a quarterback of note like a Joshua Dobbs or Jacoby Brissett that you really could feel comfortable about in the first month of the season. And we're still missing that middle piece, right? You have the rookie, you have Kyler Murray, who's on the mend. It's like, where's the supplemental talent that's going to help you maybe be competitive early in the season? If they're going to be a competitive, Bo, it would have to be with a pass rush that is looking to be revamped. Speaking of their pass rush, So Mike Clay has been going through units around the NFL, ranking them. Does a great job for ESPN. We just mentioned 2 days ago, he had the Cardinals ranked with the 6th best receiving core, which is not a surprise right now. They've got.
He did quarterbacks yesterday, right?
Oh, he did? I didn't see that.
I think he had him like 18th, maybe.
I think there's a lot to be desired there.
Somebody was carrying a lot of the load there. His name's Kyler Murray.
Yeah. I would say without Kyler Murray, you're not in good shape. Is the pass rush in good shape? So again, Mike Clay came out, put together his pass rush units, edge rushers, so not defensive tackle. It's like, who are your edge rushers on your roster? Last were the LA Rams, which is great to see. I don't recognize a damn name on this list outside of Byron Young or B. Young. The Bears are 31st. The Atlanta Falcons are 30th. Then it's the Arizona Cardinals at 29th. Here's the group he put together, and this echoes a lot of what we've heard lately. Zaven Collins is an edge rusher, according to Mike Clay. B.J. Ojulari, Majay Sanders, Cameron Thomas, Dennis Gardeck. Here's what I'll say about that unit. I'm fine with them ranking them a bottom 5 tier. But in terms of projecting, whereas there's a bunch of unknowns there with a bunch of talent, their 4 top guys are all still on their rookie contracts. Zaven Collins, if he plays pass rusher. BJ's a rookie. Cameron Thomas, Majay Sanders, when they had opportunities last year, really shine. Dennis Gardeck could be cut tomorrow. Wouldn't bother me, with all due respect to Dennis Gardeck. So it's like, yeah, that unit is a bunch of unknowns. That's okay. I have no problem with that. So I know a lot of people saw that and they're like, oh man, Cardinals are just going to get railroaded. There's a big difference, Bo Brock, between that unit and when they tried out their defensive line, which is very much in terms of like no hope right now. 32nd, 31st. I love these pass rushers. I can't wait to see them. You've got a good bet out of those top 4. Zaven, BJ, Majay, Cameron Thomas. One of those guys is going to hit. One of those guys is eventually going to become an 8 to 12 sack guy. And then you just want to duplicate it on the other side. So you saw Mike Clay's rankings of pass rushers, specifically Zaven. What were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, is it naive or ignorant for me to get excited about Zaven Collins as a pass rusher?
Does it feel real like it's going to happen now? Does it feel real?
I think he'll get legit opportunities. I really do. Just especially since they're going to have people to play linebacker where they don't have. The same can't be said for like pass rushers. I don't think that they've got people that they necessarily trust, and that's why those 2 days during voluntary minicamp, he was practicing with the pass rushing group instead of the guys he was practicing with all last season as off-ball linebackers. So there is something to it. I mean, I'm not completely sold on, opening day when we find out who they play tomorrow afternoon, that Zaven Collins is going to be lined up opposite BJ Ojulari, but that inspires a little bit more hope than who was going to be previously occupying those spots. But it's I said this yesterday, the Arizona Cardinals, their fan base, they're going to see a lot of these lists that are going to be very unflattering, where they're going to be down.
What do you mean?
They're going to be down tremendous as far as a lot of these rankings, as far as especially on the defensive side of the football, outside of maybe the safety position, they're going to be down tremendous because it's not that as far as proven commodities and production at the NFL level. Mike Clay, who puts these together, he looks for that. He doesn't look at what could be or what projects in a perfect world.
Yeah. We're going to project what we think is going to go down tomorrow as it relates to the NFL draft, or excuse me, the NFL 2023 schedule. Drafts in our rear view. We've got the 2023 season on the horizon. I hope you have pins and aces on the horizon for you. I told my phenomenal Dutch Bros story yesterday. I won't bore you with it again, but it's peacocking time. Do it with our friends at Pins and Aces. They have tremendous gear that you can rep as early as May 26th. Dobson Ranch, the Keeping It 100 golf tournament. Pins and Aces is going to be there. Prizes. PHNX is going to be there teeing off. Check it out right now. Again, Keeping It 100 golf tournament at Dobson Ranch. Dobson Ranch, dare I say, the home of PHNX golf, because I love hanging out there. It's one of my favorite places to go in all of the valley. Check out pinsandaces.com. Use that promo code PHNX to receive 15% off your first order. Get free shipping. Their stuff goes quick, guys, so use this fast. They restock constantly. So if they don't have one of your sizes that in stock on a piece of clothing that you like, click the little button that says remind me when it's in stock. It's not like other sites that just forget about you. I get notifications all the time We've restocked. Come and grab what you need. They do a tremendous job. Community engagement. We can't wait to hang with them at Dobson Ranch on May 26th. That's pinsandaces.com.
I saw a viral video. One of the I follow some golf accounts on Instagram, and I saw this spectator got smoked, absolutely smoked by a drive on like a very low ranking pro tour. And it was at Dobson Ranch. So
nice.
Yeah, but you're not gonna get smoked by a drive.
Good publicity for Dobson though.
Yeah, you could smoke somebody with the drive yourself. You just got to get in to win. I'm spreading the gospel as far as Shady Rays go. I love my Shady Rays. I've got my maybe bigger brand name glasses just collecting dust in my truck, and I'm continuing to spread it as far as with my son. He's going to be 2 next month. I'm going to get him his first pair of Shady Rays. I've already got it in the cart. It's the blackout polarized kids signature series. These are going to look cool. He's going to be showing up his daddy, and I'm going to get my wife a pair of Shady Rays as well. They've got some great looking ones like the Allure. They got something for everybody. You got to get in on Shady Rays right now. Check out all the great styles that they have on their website, shadyrays.com. They've got the best deal of the season. It's exclusive for our listeners, our viewers. Get out there, get yourself a pair of Shady Rays, or how about a couple pairs of them? Because with this new deal at shadyrays.com, you use the code PHNX, you get 50% off 2 more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades that are rated 5 stars, not just by Emma, myself, and Johnny and the PHNX crew, but 250,000 people saying that Shady Rays are legit. 5 stars across the board for Shady Rays. Get in there and save some money using the promo code PHNX, shadyrays.com.
Your son's going to be a little ass kicker when he's got his Kyler Murray jersey and he's got his Shady Rays going. That's going to be a fresh look at preschool, let me tell you. So the schedule releases tomorrow. We've got a special live show, a little bit later of a start time at 4:30 Arizona time. Schedule release is at 5 p.m. We will do our best to try to leak information, or to provide information, I should say, as it becomes available to us. We will keep you posted. So there's a good chance, guys, when you show up for the live stream tomorrow, for the show at 4:30, we're going to have some of the games cemented already. We're going to share that information as we receive it. But, Bo, I'm going to put you on the spot. Opener for the 2023 NFL season, Arizona Cardinals. What do you think is going to go down?
Man.
On the spot. Not what you want, but what you think is going to go down.
I think it's probably a divisional game, or the NFL uses the Arizona Cardinals as kind of one of the throwaway games. Like they might throw them at like it might be a Washington AZ game.
I'm going to go Rams home game, week 1. I think they want. Yeah, I think they want divisional matchups. I think we're going to get Niners, Seahawks, maybe in Santa Clara. And I think we're going to get Cardinals hosting the LA Rams. Rams have no cachet. They had minimal drawing power when they were winning games. Now they're going to be bad. So it's like, and I also think Cardinals, they typically are open up at home, right? So they had a home game last year. 2 years ago, they were on the road. I think they are at home to open up against the LA Rams and Sean McVay. And I'm excited to see that, because you know what? Rams defense isn't very good. And I think you could get some good mojo going no matter who's at quarterback. I think you can move the ball effectively against the Rams.
Like the NFL would want the Eagles to play a premier team, right? They wouldn't want.
They're not playing the Cardinals week 1. I can guarantee you that. They're going to play an NFC East team. It's going to be Cowboys, Eagles, Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, I think it's a good call with the Niners. If they're going to take on anybody in the division, it's probably going to be Seattle. Matchup of playoff teams. Probably not the Ravens. They probably want a bigger audience for the Ravens. And I'm just being honest. Like I'm not trashing the Cardinals, saying that, but
I mean, like if Houston's a possibility, Houston's 100% a possibility. Bury them at the the 1:15 start time. I think that's a team that the NFL says, let's just put these two teams together. Let's pub up the intrigue of the Cardinals having both picks, and these teams were both picking top 3. But they also may want to mix in the dynamic of Houston versus Indy, the two rookie quarterbacks against each other. The problem with the Cardinals is, at least early on, without Kyler Murray, there's not a lot of cachet. There are no storylines to follow. With these other teams, even if you're projecting them to be bad, it's like, who Justin Fields has cachet, right? And all these teams with rookies at quarterback, Bryce Young for Carolina. Like the Cardinals are very much in neutral. until K1 comes back. And so are the LA Rams. So that's why I think that makes a lot of sense.
Wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be electric if Clayton Tune goes into Chicago and outplays Justin Fields? Is there a player, and I'm not hating on Justin Fields, and I say that like you say, no disrespect, and you completely disrespect somebody. But is there somebody that's receiving more like undeserved hype throughout the offseason? Like I'm seeing Justin Fields, like they're starting to release some of these top 100 lists, and Justin Fields is like near the top 10. I'm like, look, I like watching him play.
Yeah.
But he's not a top player in this league yet.
You are having a little amnesia, I think, because let's turn the clock back to a year, and the gross shit show display by the national media for Trey Lance was vomit-inducing. They had anointed Trey Lance before even consistently playing football as a sleeper MVP candidate, and then Kyle Shanahan trots him out there. He can't play, so they have to sign Jimmy Garoppolo. That Justin Fields at least like is athletic, can move, and I think people, Bo, think he succeeds despite Chicago, right? Like Chicago, they're so inept, they have no players. Look what he's doing, support Justin Fields, and he's just likable. Whereas like Trey Lance was gifted the keys to the castle, and he just wasn't any good. The Trey Lance stuff was way, way more egregious, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think it's reached that level, but it's also, I think he's got to do a lot more, especially as a passer.
I mean, level in the chat saying the fantasy people love Justin Fields. What he did for their fantasy team.
It's a good point. It's a good point. Yeah.
Is it because you've seen the love from our bros at CHGO? Because I've seen the opposite.
No, I mean,
those guys were very skeptical.
Justin Fields picked him up on the waiver wire, put my fantasy team on his back.
Saved
me from having to eat at the Waffle House for 24 hours, which was, I will be forever grateful. But maybe
I can't believe you're bashing him. You should be repping his jersey for what he did for you. So Bo almost finished last in our fantasy league. I did too, real talk. And
that's because it was the biggest Mickey Mouse rules I've ever seen in my entire life. It was like you got like at 25-point escalators if your guy took a double shot of espresso and it was happy hour and the barista liked his smile.
We need a grown adult running the league this year. Bo and I literally finised a show, and they're like, "We're drafting now," and everybody was in person, and Bo and I like are with our kids, and they're crawling over us. No, Emma.
About on this.
Okay, first of all, it was in Slack 2 weeks before. Because I remember we had a whole argument about this.
The date and the time was changed, and we're not going to say who the time was changed by, but the time was changed. And then Bo and I could not, because we were going to run in. We didn't have time to do it. That really torpedoed our opportunity to succeed, and I will stand by that because Book It, Daddy Fantasy, a.k.a. me,
oh my God,
is making the motherfucking playoffs next year. With Clayton Tune as my quarterback.
Oh, is that going to be your first pick, Johnny?
Well, Cam Akers in the third round, not a good look. So
I
will learn from it. We'll be back.
It'd be great fantasy name options if Tune's your guy. Tune up, get tuned up.
Yep, tune time, baby. Tomorrow again, special start time, 4:30 Arizona time. Schedule release show with Bo Brock and myself. Keep it tapped into our Twitters all day because as we continue to get the information, from the Twitter streets and other sources, that we will provide it as it becomes available. Emma's going to make tremendous graphics. We'll be able to walk you through it step by step before you don't have to watch NFL Network. Hang with your boys, crack open a Four Peaks brew. We'll give you the Cardinals schedule and insight before anybody else.
Is the total primetime game, is the over-under is 0.5? Does that feel 100%. Correct?
If they have two primetime games, like it will be unfathomable. And part of me is like, this team has been in the news for so many.
Can they get like a radio air quotes, podcast air quotes? Could they get like a Saturday prime time?
I don't want to work on a Saturday though. That's our.
I agree. I'm hoping they throw them a token like Saturday game?
No. Here's what they don't need to fuck around and do. No more Christmas games, Cardinals. I had to tell my wife 2 years in a row, they never do this. This isn't going to happen again. Then they did it again. And we had to watch Dirt Muskert against Tom Brady at State Farm Stadium. And it's like, Where no more holiday games. Stay off of Thanksgiving. Stay off of Christmas. Be in this nice little pocket on a Sunday afternoon, and we'll be in good shape.
We're going to be reining in the New Year together.
Yeah.
New Year's Eve. It's going to be you and I doing a watch along.
Stop.
Prime time Cardinals game as the ball drops.
They'll be filed up at that point. I'll be like, hey, you know what? My team, I love them to death. They're 4 games out of a playoff spot. I got to go watch them. I got to go watch Clayton, our boy Clayton. Keep it locked in for the next 48 hours.
Yeah, any leaks, Johnny, myself at PHNX_Cardinals. We'll have it up there on the Twitter streets.
Love to take a leak with you. Cardinal Sin 21 PHNX greater than NFL Network. Absolutely. You guys are fantastic. 130 people on a Wednesday in the offseason. We love all of you. Keeping this train moving. Like and subscribe. Check us out. Go PHNX.com. Pick up some swag, some merch. Become a diehard. It's one of my favorite tees right here. Nux, even though he talks shit to me on Twitter, this is my favorite hat. I will never, ever take it off.
Elon, because he's been so inactive, actually got rid of his account.
Did he?
Yeah. When was the last time you heard from Phoenix?
Yeah, maybe they scrubbed him. Agent 47, Johnny will buy a shirt of Clayton. Laugh out loud. I haven't bought my new jersey yet. What if Clayton comes out and he's just guns a-blazing? That'd be a nice storyline. He's probably not
team tune.
I'm not. I'm Team Malik. Trade for Malik. For Bo Brock, I'm Johnny Venerable. We'll see you tomorrow, 4:30.